Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beneath the Silence, Healing the Wounds of Betrayal Trauma. I'm Sandy Joy, your host, and I'm really glad that you're here. Um, I want to issue a warm welcome to those who have listened to the podcast in the past and those who may be new to the podcast. So thank you for being here. It warms my heart, and I hope that you're taking something from it that will help in your healing journey. Maybe it's some validation, maybe it's new information, maybe it's some feeling of connection, and I hope that's the goal. Just as a reminder that I don't edit these podcasts; they are real, raw, authentic, and I'm vulnerable. I may, you know, screw up, make errors, stumble over words. And that's okay because I'm human. And if I can show my vulnerability in doing those things, then it may give you permission to be able to show your vulnerability. Uh, and as always, when we're listening to the podcast, some of them can be very difficult to listen to or to hear, or maybe activating. And please remember to take gentle care of yourself. If you need to pause or you need to stop and you want to come back at another time to listen, you do what you need to do for you. And that's what's important. Always put you first. Your healing is a priority. Your feeling and way is a priority. Okay. So today's podcast is coping with unsupportive family and friends when you've experienced betrayal trauma. And this is emotional abandonment, disbelief, and the trauma of not mattering, feeling that you don't matter. So many survivors have described having unsupportive family or friends as being almost as bad or equal to, and some have described it to be worse than the betrayal itself. And that's, when we are going to people who we have thought have been supportive or maybe have in the past, um, or thought of us as our family members or our friends, and we're met with this disbelief. We're met with this, um, you know, these feelings of this includes like being, disbelieved or having, well, it wasn't so bad, or in the case of this is I've heard so often with pornography, um, and minimizing. Oh, guys, watch it. It's not so bad. It's normal. No, no, it's not normal. And no, it's not all guys do it. And it is so incredibly harmful. And I ask, and I've said this to people who have said, including a doctor who said, oh, it's not that, it's not so bad. It's, especially for guys, they're, visual people they need. And I said, so would you say the same thing if they were taking cocaine? And they go, of course not. And I'm going, pornography does the same thing to the brain that cocaine does to the brain. So why is one okay and one not? And I won't get into, I could do a whole tangent on the harms of pornography to the people who are I don't yeah, I can't even say the words about porn stars because they're not. A high 90% of the women, especially in pornography, are human trafficked. They're drugged. They're bribed. You know, human traffic, and same with prostitution. They're human trafficked. And if we don't have the people who watch porn, they wouldn't be human trafficked in that way. So anyway, I can go off on a tangent about the dangers and the violence and etc. around that. So being minimized wasn't so bad. Or, well, what was wrong with you that your partner had an affair? What was wrong with the relationship? What weren't you giving him or her? You know, um, So this being unsupportive is being disbelieved, minimized, and please do not discount how incredibly impactful that minimization is for your pain. Being told to move on. Well, just forget it. Like they said they were sorry. They're not going to do it again. Move on. It's not that easy. You can't move on when your trust is shattered, okay? So what this is you're experiencing is emotional abandonment, where your pain is seen and yet ignored. Your pain is minimized. Your pain is not believed. Your narrative is not believed. And for many survivors, this sends a devastating message. And that message is not only am I not safe with you, I don't matter. I don't matter. This episode is about naming that harm, understanding why it happens, and learning how to protect yourself emotionally when support is absent. Okay? And again, please listen gently. This is very tender ground. So, what is emotional abandonment? Emotional abandonment occurs when someone sees your pain. You may be crying, you may be telling them how painful it is. They know you're suffering and they choose not to respond at all. And that can be through email. Choose not to respond with care, protection, or validation. I have a number of people that the men were my ex's friends from high school and some from growing up, that when I reached out to them upon separation, I heard from one person, one. I said that they were so sorry that this is what I'm going through. One person, one time. I was with that group for 34 years. How easily we can be discarded. So the betrayals from those people, and I don't want to say especially the women, because that's all of them, devastating. The grief. I was very close to two of his sisters, especially my ex's sisters. The grief, the denial, the head in the sand. He couldn't be so bad. So this is not the same as not knowing what to say. This is non-response in the present of known harm. This includes changing the subject when you speak about betrayal, staying neutral when abuse is disclosed, prioritizing family harmony over your safety, urging forgiveness without accountability. We're not saying nothing or not saying anything at all, not responding, ignoring. With betrayal trauma survivors, emotional abandonment recreates the original trauma. Because betrayal trauma is relational. Healing also requires relational repair. When support is withheld, the nervous system learns my pain is invisible. My needs don't matter. I don't matter. When I went through mine, I really found out who my true friends were. And some of them that I had helped through so many different issues of their own were not there for me. And then there were others who were friends, but not close friends, or some of them that were acquaintances. that have become my closest friends. Ones that I know I could call at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's how you know they're your closest friends, your best friends. And you can have more than one best friend that are there to say, what do you need? Not to try to fix it, but to support, to validate, to be there. Why unsupportive responses are so traumatizing. Humans are wired for connection and protection within community. When someone experiences betrayal, they instinctively look to others for reality confirmation, safety, advocacy, and care. When those needs are denied, the trauma deepens. There is some, there is sometimes, or this is sometimes called secondary betrayal trauma or social betrayal, but it doesn't mean it's any less impactful than, than what the original betrayal was. Instead of healing, survivors experience intensified shame, more deeper self-doubt. What's wrong with me that these people I thought were my friends have turned their back on me? Oh, it couldn't be so bad. Oh, he's such a nice guy. He's such a good guy. It has to be you. Isolation. So what do we do? We internalize and then we don't share and we isolate ourselves. And what happens is a delayed recovery. The nervous system isn't just reacting to the original betrayal. It's reacting to the message. Even now, you are alone. You are alone in this pain. You are alone in these beliefs. You are alone in your experience. And why abusers often receive more support than survivors. And let's get this straight. When there is betrayal trauma, there is abuse. Where there is manipulation and deceit, there is psychological abuse, there is emotional abuse. In my case, there is financial and sexual abuse as well. And that I'm not alone in that. There is abuse. Why abusers often receive more support? Good question. One of the most painful realities survivors face is this very fact. Abusers are often supported and survivors are often questioned. Hell, let's look at what's going on in the United States right now in the Epstein files. Why? Why are the perpetrators, they are betrayals. Why are the perpetrators being protected? And the survivors have to show all the freaking receipts. They are not believed. They're questioned. Even though there are hundreds, maybe thousands of them. Blows my mind. Families and communities, friends, I'm going to put friends, families, and communities may protect the abuser's reputation. Emphasize forgiveness. Frame the survivor as being too emotional. Oh, it couldn't have been that bad, or it couldn't have been, she's making it up. Minimize harm to maintain comfort. Why does this happen? Because siding with the survivor often requires acknowledging harm, disrupting family systems or the friend systems, confronting uncomfortable truths. It's like, holy shit, how did we not know about that he was this way? Okay. Siding with the abuser allows others to avoid responsibility, preserve the status quo, maintain denial. But this all comes at a cost. Survivors heal more quickly when they receive validation, belief, and protection. The absence of that support prolongs trauma and actually adds to the trauma. grateful. Or, you know, gendered disbelief and invalidation. So when I say gendered, those who identify as girls or women often experience betrayal trauma, and they report being told, you're overreacting, you're too sensitive, you should be grateful, you're destroying the family, you're destroying the friend group. This is not accidental. It is gendered invalidation. When a man who is most often the perpetrator, as we learned in betrayal trauma, dismisses the woman's wants, needs, boundaries, and goals, he is communicating something very specific. You do not matter. Your reality is invalid. This is not just emotional harm, it's coercive, and that's control, and dehumanizing. Repeated dismissal erodes self-trust, identity, voice, and a sense of worth. Our self-worth goes in the gutter, in a cavern, actually, deep down. And when others echo this dismissal, the injury multiplies tenfold. When family or friends can't or won't show up, many survivors spend years trying to explain better, be calmer, be more reasonable, be more forgiving. Don't share their narrative. Keep it inside, in the hope that then they will be believed. This is exhausting and often continual re-traumatization. Important truths. Not everyone is capable of offering support. Some people choose comfort over truth, the status quo over truth. Some systems require silence to survive. You are not required to convince people of your pain in order for it to be real. You don't have to do that. Your pain is real. Healing sometimes requires grieving the loss of imagined support. That grief is real and deserved. Not that you deserve to be ignored or not supported. You deserve to have that grief, to share, like to feel that grief from what was not offered to you. So how do you cope? How do you protect yourself? Number one, it's name the harm internally. Emotional abandonment is harm. Disbelief is harm. Silence is harm. Naming it restores your reality. And again, energetically put it back on those who are silent, who don't believe you, who minimizes. It's all emotional abandonment. So number two, reduce exposure where possible. You may need to not fully cut those people off, depending. Again, when it's my ex's family, they don't have anything to do with me anymore. They're completely on him. Same with his friends, which I thought were mine as well, but weren't. And then those people who I thought were my friends that didn't show up for me weren't, but then those who did show up, those are my true friends. Those are the people that I know will be there. So the other ones have little exposure to me. And I limit vulnerable disclosures with unsafe people. I don't tell them anything. If, I meet some of these people at, out in public, whatever, and they say, how you doing? I said, I'm great. They don't need to know anything else. That's all. I don't ask them how they are because frankly, I don't give a royal F. They showed me their true colors and I will believe that. I will believe the behavior. So Reduce exposure where possible, set boundaries around conversations. Like I just said, they don't need to know anything about me. I'm great. And protect your nervous system. That's where your control is. You get to control those boundaries. You get to control the conversation. You get to control what you disclose or choose not to. 3, seek affirming spaces. So, betrayal trauma informed support. So, I had my therapist that I saw weekly for 4 years, sometimes twice a week. I needed to. Survivor communities. Okay, so I went into a separation divorce community called Thriving. It's called the Thriving Community. And I met other people in there. It wasn't about my narrative. It was about how can we thrive through, that's the healing journey. So it wasn't about, um, beating up the ex or all the negative stuff because I needed positive in my life. I needed in my healing journey. And so that's what I did. So survivor communities and my friends, the ones that who became, that were my true friends. I relied on them. They were validating for me until I could validate myself. And once I learned to validate myself, respect myself, I didn't need that external validation. I knew what was right and for me and that my story, my narrative was real. So 4, it's reclaim internal validation. I got ahead of myself. Um, you do not need permission to know what happened. You know the truth. You know what you experienced. And don't ever let anyone minimize that or say that it wasn't true. You know your truth. Your experience is valid. And even if others deny it, that's on them. That's on them. Healing accelerates when survivors are believed, even if that belief begins with themselves. And in closing, you matter. If your pain was seen and ignored, that was not neutral. It was emotional abandonment. If others protected the person who harmed you, that was not fairness. It's more betrayal. And that's on them. You are not asking for too much. You are not too sensitive, too emotional. You are asking for care, and you deserve it. So 3 takeaways. I'm looking here because I have a few, I want to say quotes. Um, that I want to talk, like, I guess actually I've already mentioned some of them. So, and it's all about that internal validation that's important. But this one message is telling a woman who was abused that her experiences aren't valid is emotional invalidation and more betrayal trauma. So I'll now move to the 3 takeaways. Emotional abandonment re-traumatizes survivors by sending them a message that they don't matter and they're not cared about. 2, survivors heal faster when they receive the validation and protection often given to abusers. So seek out that therapist, that counselor or coach who knows betrayal trauma and is able to understand and validate your experiences. 3, disbelief and dismissal, especially towards women, are forms of relational and systemic harm. So I want to thank you for joining me today on Beneath the Silence, Healing the Wounds of Betrayal Trauma. Remember that healing is possible even from the most deep, darkest, painful, cavernous wounds. If this episode resonated with you, please reach out. Please let me know. I welcome your emails at sandy@sandrajoy.ca or through leaving a comment on either YouTube or Spotify. I really, really hope that you do. And if you again have any ideas or you have questions that I can put in for a future podcast, please let me know. I really value, your opinion and what you're looking for. Um, if you want more resources or support, you can reach out to me at sandrajoy.ca. And of course, anyone interested in my betrayal trauma course, you can find on my website. And then through that, contact me so we can set a date. I don't have any dates set right now. If you're able, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That ups the algorithms and helps for other people who are searching around betrayal to find my podcasts. I do not get paid for these podcasts. If you can like and share the podcast, if you feel safe enough to do so, no pressure. And any of these, by the way. It just helps others learn and build community on their own. And next week, what my topic is I'm just looking here. The topic is on self-care, what it is and what it isn't, and how can we look after ourselves through all this. And this conversation matters and is very important. Why? Because you matter. Your experiences matter, and they are very important. You are very important. And until next time, take gentle care of yourself. And as always, remember, I see you, I hear you, and I believe you. Until we meet again. Thank you.